When we talk about worry, anxiety, or even fear, we would do well to listen to the encouraging words of Moses before the people entered into the promised land in the Old Testament. Good morning, I'm Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Tuesday. We may all face some giants in our lives, desperately needing God's hand upon us to help us be overcomers on a daily basis. Well, the Israelites also faced giants, actually literal giants in this new land that they were supposed to overcome and capture with God's help. So Moses encouraged them. In Deuteronomy chapter 31 and verse 6, he said, "Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them, for the Lord your God, he is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you." I think probably the opposite of worrying or being filled with anxiety is just to take courage. First of all, he calls for his people to be strong. Now that's going to take a few pep talks to ourselves to remind us that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And to be of good courage. Sometimes we take on the demeanor of the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz when we're confronted by obstacles or even facing the enemy. And he says, "Do not fear nor be afraid of them." Who or what do we fear the most in our lives? Surely there is something that crops up in our minds even today. Franklin D. Roosevelt said in his 1933 inaugural address, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." And this actually came from a man who was fighting the paralyzing effects of polio, who was leading a nation out of a Great Depression. And he said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And he was right. Fear can be so crippling that we miss our real abilities to be overcomers. But Moses' encouragement was not because Israel had tried and tested military. It was not because the enemy was weak with no defenses. Actually, they had walled cities. His real reason here for encouraging them, to give them courage and strength, was, "For the Lord your God, he is the one who goes with you." While you are discouraged, while you are facing the enemy, which looks like a giant, he did not send his people out into the battlefield alone, but he went with them. The first battle in the Promised Land was against the great walled city of Jericho, and God showed his power by crumbling those great walls after the Israelites had simply held a parade around the city a few times. He reminds us that there is no need to fear because of the Lord your God. He finally says, he will not fail you. We seem to place our trust in a lot of things in this world today. Some of the weakest of things for that matter. But here he reminds us that although things down here will fail, God will not. And neither will God forsake us. When the battle heats up, God gives us strength. And many times we have seen God show up and fight our battles, and we're left to wonder, why did I ever doubt? Why was I so fearful? Why don't I just put my trust in the Lord today, because I know that he will not leave me nor forsake me?